Hey everyone, ahlan wa sahlan fikum, and if you have reached this video after watching them all in order, at least over a period of time, mabruk first of all, because I know that they have been long in any case, and lots of technical discussion and stuff like that. And I know that even though they are long, I've been speeding through them because otherwise they would be even longer. And so I've assumed a certain amount of knowledge. I'm pulling it up now, the last one that we're going to do for now. I mean, I'm going to keep adding more, but these are the ones that are available now. And so I've assumed some knowledge. I'm assuming kind of an intermediate level, a general level of knowledge of spoken Arabic. I still hope that if you don't, actually, in fact, in a way, if you are just here sort of with a sort of more beginner level of Arabic, I almost feel like you can even get more out of these dialogues just by going into all the individual sentences and just learning new words. I think that this is a great way to discover new words in their context. Yeah, there are some grammatical kind of things that may be weird or may not make that much sense to you at first at a beginner level, but that's okay. I think this is still a great way of learning new words. And if you are at a more intermediate level and these words are a piece of cake for you, then yeah, then we can focus on these more sort of interesting things going on. But this is the longest video of them all, at least of the cartoons. Not that much longer, but it's a little bit longer. And so I almost want to try to breeze through this, really assuming that you have watched the videos, previously. Because at this point, several of things like I've repeated over and over again. So I'm going to assume that I don't have to go over that, and I will just very briefly mention that, if at all. And instead, I'm really just going to try to breeze through it. And I'm sure this video is still going to be an hour or something like that, but we will see, because otherwise, as it is longer, it would be even longer. So let's just go ahead and get started. In this video, the point, it's called المحق Abu Sanad, so the detective Abu Sanad, and basically, well, I don't know if it's kind of spoiling it, but there's some kind of weird things going on, and then it turns out that the Abu Yazan family is broke, and so the kids have been trying to do things to help out their friends, because their friends don't have money at this time and stuff like that. So anyway, let's just go ahead and just get started. So it starts out with the mom coming into the girl's room, and she's working on some homework, and she says, "Shو Sally, كيف ماشي ماما?" So Sally, how's it going? Sally says, "مش منيح, الرواية كتير طويلة وما عم تخلص." Not well. The novel is very long and it's not ending. And then the mom says, طب رح تلحقي يعني? لحق يعني to manage to do something on time, or to keep up with something as well. But here it's to manage to do it on time. So طب رح تلحقي يعني? Are you going to manage on time? To finish on time? And Sally says, ماما معلش بلاش هاي الأسئلة بتوترني. So we've looked at, okay, so معلش, like, would you mind, or is it okay? And then we've seen this word balash before. In fact, I think, by the way, throughout the videos, I've jumped to other example sentences, and some of them are from this video. So I think we even looked at this exact sentence before. Balash means like, don't do something, or I'd rather you not do something. And so here it's implied, the asking is implied. So it's like, would you mind not with, it's kind of like, could you, like in English we would say, could you not with these questions? It's like, don't ask me these questions, basically. معلش, would you mind not with these questions? They stress me out. What to stress out, to tense someone up, to stress. The mom says, oh, and then she gets a call and she says, ألو, أهلا أم يزن, شو وين غاطسة, كيفكم? غاطس literally means submerged, but in this context it's like disappeared from social life. So hello Imyazan, what? Or say, where have you disappeared to? How are you? And Imyazan says, Hayna, nashkur Allah. We're here, thank God, we're well. And then she says, Imsanad, بدي أسألك عن طريقة الكبة. Imsanad, I need to ask you about طريقة الكبة. طريقة is the way to do something. And so, طريقة الكبة in English, we would say the way of making, perhaps. But طريقة الكبة is just the way of, parentheses, making كبة. So yeah, طريقة, way, it's an important word. Then Imsanad says, شو إميازن صايرة تتفنني بالطبخ من ورانا. So, remember this shu has already been used several times in this dialogue, actually, with like, shu Sally, so Sally, shu when Rotsa, say, where have you disappeared to? Shu Imyazan, Imyazan, right? It doesn't just mean what, it's used in this way as well. Shu Imyazan, Sairat Fanani, yeah, so, remember, sar, to begin to do something, so, at least in depending on with a verb, it means that, right? So, Saira, you've started being creative, fannan, to be creative, to innovate with things. So you've started being creative with your cooking, like mixing it up, right? With your cooking, with cooking, بالطبخ, with cooking, من ورانا, behind our backs, from behind us, i.e. behind our backs, like in secret. And then Imyazan says, هو أنا شاطرة بالطبخ. And the sentence here is أنا شاطرة بالطبخ, I'm good at cooking. And the who, like we've seen before, is kind of affecting, it's sort of superimposed over everything. So she's saying, the thing is, I am good at cooking. I am good at, it's kind of like the thing is I am good at cooking. But بس في أشياء من زمان ما عملتها ونسيتها. But there are things that zaman means, it's a very important or like kind of interesting word, and it means like a long time ago. It kind of can be used in different ways. But let's see, long ago or a long time. Let's see all the meanings, because it's important. But in this case, min zaman, a time in the abstract, an area or period in the past, like zaman, الأتراك, zaman, أيام zaman. The أيام zaman is the days of long ago. Or, well, that's actually an example of the third usage. But yeah, long ago. So, min zaman, it's like for a long time. And so, there are things that, min zaman, that for a long time I haven't made and I have forgotten. And then the Imsanad says, طب خليني أشرح لك الخطوات بالتفصيل. Okay, let me explain to you the steps in detail. And then she says, وفي قناة على اليوتيوب بدلك عليها رهيبة. And there's a channel on YouTube. I will point you to it. It's terrific. Pretty self-explanatory so far. Imyazan says, طب دقيقة واحدة أجيب ورقة وقلم. بدي آخد كمان كم وصفة. Now, okay. Okay, just 1 minute, right? دقيقة واحدة, just 1 minute. For me to bring أجيب ورقة وقلم, a piece of paper and a pen. I want to get a few more recipes. And this is interesting, and I wanted to just say, as a general comment, that I can't stress enough. I think the determiners are really important words to learn. I know this is, I always use these grammatical words just because I like to be precise, but the determiner, these are like, they're not adjectives, but they are words that modify nouns in particular ways, which we will see here, like sometimes to count them or to point to what it refers to what you're referring to. And it comes before the noun, unlike adjectives which come after. So these include very common words, right? Like hada and all the variants, hada, hadi, hada, had, hadi, hay, hadol, hadak, hadik, hadlak, ha, right? So this is all this, that, these, those. And then which, ay, anu, ani, anomme, which is here. They're just in the order that I added them. So which one, which ones. I also means any, right? But anyway. So yeah, so which, but also any. And then these words like kul, which means every or each, wala, which means no or not a single one, akam, a few. So these, it's also counting, right? Or not counting, but quantifiers. So every or each, not a single one, or a few, or another, kaman, another. And then hek, such a thing, like hek ishi, a thing like this, a thing like that. Ayya is just another form of ay. She, which is indefinite marker for some, and bad, which also means some. Bad, nas, some people. She mahal, some place. It's actually a different meaning of some. So this some is like a few. It's kind of synonymous with akam. And this she is in indefiniteness marker, like the opposite of il. Il mahal, the place. Mahal, a place. She mahal, some place. It stresses. It really just emphasizes the uncertain nature or the unknown nature of the thing. So these are really important words, and the thing about them is that once you look at them in like collectively like this, you can see that they have the use is generally the same. So you can yeah, I mean they all like they're all used, you know, before the noun and so on. Depending on which, and I think you can kind of figure this out on your own, like sometimes it's used with a definite thing or an indefinite thing. Obviously some of these make the things necessarily indefinite. Like for example, she mahal, obviously this makes things indefinite, but this, that, these, and those, these necessarily refer to something definite. So that's why it has to be had the liktab, right? This, the book, but it's this book, right? Yeah, these are just, I just wanted to say that these are important words to know, and you can actually stack them, so to speak. So that's what's happening here, and it happens elsewhere in this dialogue as well, actually. But she says, kaman akam wasfe. So wasfe, recipe, akam wasfe, a few recipes. And by the way, it's different than in English, right? Because in English it's a few recipes, but in Arabic it's akam wasfe, a few recipe. But that's just how it is. So recipe, a few recipes, kaman akam wasfe, a few more recipes. Yeah, that's just so you know. The order is different than in English, where it's a few more, but here it's more, a few recipes. And then Imsanat says, akam wasfe, a few recipes, kullu bisa'ru imyazan. So everything for its price. Bi in this sentence means for a given price. So everything comes at a price, essentially, imyazan. Then Abu Sanad says, comes home and says, Marhaba ya jama'a, hello everyone. And then Sanad says, Ahlin baba, jibit tufah, did you bring apples? By the way, sometimes I put sentences like multiple statements within the same sentence, just because otherwise I would have a lot of stub sentences that are just like a bunch of times when people say marhaba, but that would be tedious. So I just do this. Anyway, Abu Yazan says, and also you can see the response to marhaba ahlin, right? Then Abu Yazan says, أنا مش فاهم من إمتى صرت تحب التفاح. I don't understand since when, من إمتى, you started liking apples, right? صرت, started doing something. Sanad says, وهي, remember, pointing to something, or showing something. Here is, and here are وهي الخيار, والchips, وchips الشوكولاتة, what? وchips الكاتشب والشوكولاتة. شكرا بابا. So here are, I don't know, this is such a random things, but, and here is the cucumber and the ketchup chips and the chocolate, and chocolate. Thank you, Dad. Whatever. I don't know what kind of groceries these are, but I'm not going to judge. And then Abu Sanad says, Smallah, which is like, God be with you. It's just an exhortation, or exclamation, whatever. Smallah, mish mlahe alaykum. صحيبة صايدين الشباب. صحيبة is like demanding, like taking a lot of things from sahab, which means to pull. So الشباب, the youth, the youngsters have become have become صايدين صحيبة. What's it called? Demanding. And just FYI, actually, I think if I recall correctly, it comes up a little bit again later. Yeah, it does. But quick note about plurals, right? We know that in Arabic, in fact, I haven't said this in any video, so it's kind of useful for me to mention it now. But so we know that in Arabic, in the dialect, we have masculine, feminine, and plural. But obviously, you've probably heard that plural inanimate nouns are treated as feminine, so to speak, right? So, biyut حلوة, not biyut حلوين. حلوين being plural, whereas animate nouns that are plural are treated as plural. So, شباب لطيفين versus biyut حلوة. Now, the reason for this is because sure, it is that they are being treated as feminine, but it's because they're being treated as a mass. And masses in Arabic are feminine. So a way to remember this is the word kamiyya, which means a quantity or like a mass of something, is a feminine word. So masses are feminine. Now, so when you treat houses, for example, or whatever inanimate things, in general, you're treating them as a single mass, which is feminine. Whereas humans, in theory, they're always individuals, so you never treat them as mass. But that's actually, there's a caveat. Actually, that's not really true. But let's just say, so if we're speaking about ashkhas, people, persons, that's always going to be plural. I mean, I guess I can just go right into that caveat, which is that actually humans as well can be treated as masses, and that's why the word nas, why don't we just pull it up? That's why the word nas can actually be either feminine or plural, because it's either people who are differentiated individuals or a mass of people treated as a single unit. So let's see, احنا ناس إلنا, but no, this is not going to show, there's no agreement happening here. ملان ناس هبول. Okay, so ناس هبول means stupid people, but هبول is plural of أهبل. So here it shows plural agreement. So here it is also showing plural agreement. الناس قديش بيقبضوا, right? How much they earn. See if there's anyone with feminine agreement. Here it is. امتى الناس راح تبطل feminine agreement. هي تبطل, الناس تبطل. نميز بين الناس بحسب وين no. في ناس أصلاً شغلها تلم. We saw this in another dialogue, actually. These are all from dialogues. So there are people whose job to begin with is to collect trash. اتلم, feminine agreement for nas. اتبطل, feminine agreement for nas. هبول, plural agreement. بيقبضوا, plural agreement. So this can actually be both. And this is a perfect sort of example of how human, like, it is not that not like inanimate plurals are feminine. It's that they are masses and masses are feminine. Masses, So there are some cases. Let me see if this. I don't know. My computer's being slow. It's not even the website. So demonyms, so words to refer to like Arabs or whatever. Actually, I don't think this is ready yet. No. But words to refer to ethnicities and things like that are also either feminine or plural. I don't have any examples of this, so I was just using nas because of that. But yeah, I wish I had some examples, but this is doing the same thing because it is human, but it's also kind of like as a unit, you're treating them. So it is possible to have feminine agreement. And so that I would say is why it's sahibe, صايرين الشباب. See, even within the same expression, you have plural and mass agreement. I'm going to call it mass agreement. It is feminine, but it's because it's being treated as mass. So shabab, youngsters, plural, صايرين, sahibe, like as a mass agreement here for this adjective. And yeah, anyway, this is actually going to come up again further down. Now, Imsanad then says, yeah, she arrives, that's right, because the father came home, and then she says, يعطيك العافية, which again is kind of untranslatable because he's come home from work. يعطيك العافية أبو سند أعطيني عنك. Give me, let me take some of that. So أعطيني, give me. An, we've said this before, it means away from something, in addition to the meaning of about, but away from something. So give me away from you. In other words, let me take some of that. Let me take some things from you. Because he came home with all these bags. So yeah. And then skip to Imyazan, who's looking at the YouTube video, and the lady in the YouTube video, which by the way is speaking with like a Lebanese accent apparently, or she is, says, وهيك بتكبكب الكبة. I'm not going to try to emulate the accent, but I've kind of just written it out as she's pronounced it. So وهيك بتكبكب الكبة مشان تطلع كل وحدة مثل اختها بالضبط. Actually, I did pronounce it in the way she did. So in كبكب is to roll something up. So and this is how you roll up the كبة. مشان is just عشان, it's the same word. مشان تطلع, so each one turns out. عشان تطلع كل وحدة, so each one turns out like its sister, أختها. This is إختها is أختها, بالضبط, exactly. And it's not literally its sister, it's its pair, or it's like the other ones, right? Yeah, so that's that about that. And then the Imyazan says sarcastically, مثل أختها أكيد الخالق الناطق. This is just a phrase which means peas in a pod. Like, yeah, exactly, one like the other. Because she's having trouble with it. So she says, يا ربي كيف تطلع معهم هيك? My God, how do they كيف تطلع? How do they come out for them like that? And then the chef says, لا تقولي كيف تطلع هيك. Don't say why they come out like that. We've talked about how la can be a negative imperative instead of ma. And then she says, مرة على مرة إيدك بتاخد على الشغل. وإذا ما زبطت استخدمي مثل هذا القالب. So with each time after time, your hands, and this is a specific use of أخذ, and like أخذ على, it takes to, it gets used to the job. Right, so with each time your hand gets used to the job, and if it didn't work, is a ما زبطت. If it didn't work, use a mold like this, like a cooking mold. And then Imyazan says, طب قولي هيك من أول. Well, say so from the start. And then the chef says, عم قول استخدم القالب. This is very Lebanese. Instead of عم بقول, عم قول. Or Syrian, I don't know. So I'm saying, use the mold. And then Imyazan says, كيف هي سمعتني? How is she hearing me? Because I remember هذا هذه هدول, etc. It's fine for he, she, they. So how does this one, i.e., how does she hear me? How is she hearing me? This is active participle, right? Because she's talking to like the YouTube video, and the YouTube videos are responding. Anyway, skip to the next scene. Sally is working on her homework. She says, كتير طويل الواجب. The homework, the assignment is so long. She says, she's talking to Rana on the phone, and she says, هاي رنا بتصدقي إنه لهلا ما خلصت التلخيص؟ أنت شو صار معك؟ So, hi Rana, can you believe that لهلا is like still. It's actually like لسه. Um, literally until now, right? So, can you believe that until now, that still, I haven't finished the summary, تلخيص summary. أنتِ, topic marking, أنتِ, you, what happened with you? How's it going for you? And then Rana, you can't hear what she says, but Sally reacts. She says, ما بديتي كيف رح تلحقي? You didn't start. How are you going to لحق, to manage to do something on time? So it means all of that. How are you going to manage to do it on time? And then she keeps reacting. She says, ما شريتي الرواية. You didn't buy the novel. صار لها أسبوع المس طالبة نلخصها. We talked about the structure before, so I'm not going to repeat it too much, but the structure is صار plus إله, صار له, صار لها, etc. It has been for someone a set amount of time, in this case أسبوع. So it has been a week. So a week has passed since the teacher has asked us to summarize it. So the teacher has been asking us to summarize it for a week, is what it ends up being. She has been doing something for a week. So صار لها أسبوع, again, structure is صار له plus time plus action. The miss could have been anywhere in the sentence. المس صار لها أسبوع طالبة نلخصها. And then Sally says, oh, she keeps reacting. She says, ما هو شو? كيف يعني? It doesn't really mean anything, but ما هو, we've looked at this word. It's kind of like sort of emphasizing something, but it can also sort of have the connotation of not just emphasizing something, but what did we say about ma, right? It says like, well, let's look at just ma on its own. Indicate certainty, conviction, or emphasis, especially regarding statements that contradict expectation. I think I've read this like 100 times, and I might still refine it. But it's like a way of, you're kind of answering something that has been said, and giving some kind of explanation or your certainty about something. Yeah, explanation really. I think I should add that to this definition. So when Sally is asking her on the phone, like, what do you mean that you didn't buy the novel and you didn't do all these things? Rana is surely saying on the other side of the phone, ما هو ما كان عندي مصاري, or something. I don't know. Like she's saying ما هو the thing is this or that. So the thing is that definition where you're kind of giving an explanation, right? The thing is that this, the thing is that. I don't have an example of that usage other than how, like, now Sally is parroting what Rana is saying. She say, ما هو شو, like, the thing is what's the thing? Like, yeah, because Rana is surely saying ما هو this, and so Sally is saying ما هو شو, ما هو what? كيف يعني? What do you mean? So yeah, this word is very, I don't know, I like to use it a lot. Next scene, Abu Sanad is reading a book with his son. They're practicing reading, I guess. And he says, حبيبي سند مش صعبة كلمة شطآن. الشطآن جمع شاطئ. And he reads something in Fusha in between. And so, yeah, my dear Sanad, the word shot'an is not difficult. Shot'an, meaning shores. So the word shores is not difficult. Shores is the plural, jama'. Did I read this? Shot'an jama' shati'. So the shores is the plural of shore. So yeah, this is plural, useful word. So مثلا, الأولاد جمع ولد. Children is the plural of child. So yeah, important word there. And then Sanad says, Baba, أنا مش مركز, جوعان. Dad, I'm not focused, I'm hungry. Father says, طب روح كل إشي وارجع لي اركض. Okay, go eat something and come back to me. Run. Sanad says, Baba, ما عنا إشي ناكله. We don't have anything to eat. بدنا, as in we need in this case, بدنا فواكه وخضار وشيبس وشوكولاتة. We need fruits and vegetables and chips and chocolate. And the father says, شو لسه امبارح جاي بغداد. And this lissa actually doesn't mean still. This is another use of lissa, which means just now happened. So it's kind of like a barely just something. So shu, I barely just bought stuff yesterday, right? Because it's a little bit different from hay, because we said that hay means like hay عملت, I just did something, but that's modifying a verb. This is not necessarily modifying a verb. So this امبارح, just yesterday. It's actually modifying a time. Yeah, just parentheses now, etc. So just yesterday, I brought stuff. So I've just brought stuff yesterday. أغراض, yeah, لسه امبارح جاي بأغراض, أغراض meaning stuff. And then Sanat says, مش, yeah, isn't it, again, this is applying to the whole sentence. Isn't it that أنتو, or no, actually no, that's not true. It's, isn't it you, aren't you, مش أنتو اللي بيقولوا لنا, what? مش أنتو اللي بتقولوا لنا كلوا صحتين لازم تاكلوا عشان تكبروا. Isn't it, aren't you guys the ones, aren't you the ones who say to us, eat, help yourselves, you need to eat in order to grow. And the father says, مظبوط, خذ الكتاب وراجع القراءة بسرعة. So that's right, take the book and go over, راجع, go over the reading, القراءة بسرعة, go over the reading really quick. And then he goes to the kitchen and the fridge is empty. He says, دينا تعالي شوي, بدي أحكي لك إشي. Dina, the wife's name, come شوي for a moment. I need to tell you something. He says, شوفي إيش مالك. Oh no, she says that, sorry. شوفي, what's going on? What إيش مالك, what's wrong with you? And, or شوفي, like what is there, what's up? And then the father says, اسمعي, ولا يمكن يكون الأغراض اللي جبتهم امبارح خلصوا. Listen, ولا يمكن, there's no way that the أغراض that the stuff that I got, جاب, by the way, not just to bring but also to get or to buy. So there's no way that the stuff that I bought yesterday or brought yesterday could be finished. So yeah, anyway, yeah, so the ikun is for khalas. Like, there's no way that, yeah, the things that I bought yesterday could be finished. So the wala yumkin like affects the, in order to affect all of this, in order to modify all of this, that there's no way that this, it modifies that it be that, all of this. Anyway, Abu Sanad, then he says, شو احنا مربيين وحوش في إنا. So مربى, or مربي, sorry, from ربى. ربى means to raise children or whatever. مربي being raising, active participle. مربين plural. So what are we raising beasts, وحوش. And then في إنا is just a set expression which just means something is up, something is afoot, there's something suspicious about the situation. And then he says, راح أروح أشتري أغراض وراح أعرف شو القصة. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to go buy stuff and I'm going to know what's the story, what's up. And then the mom says, طب معلش, all right, fine. بس خليني أروح أشوف مين على الباب وبرجع لك, برجع لك, because someone rang the bell, the doorbell. So yeah, okay, fine. But let me go see who is at the door and I'll come back to you. And then she goes to the door and it's Yazan. She says, أهلا وسهلا Yazan. تفضلي, come in or be my guest. شو معاكي أشوف, because Yazan is holding some food. What do you have with you? In this case, it's kind of it's verbal. This ma, to have, right? شو معاكي, what do you have with you? And so again, عنده, to have, mao, also to have, but mao is like to have at hand. So what do you have with you? Can I see? أشوف. And then Yazan says, لا بس جاي أعطيكي هلأ كم حبة كبة تدوقيهم. Okay, pause here. Remember I was talking about the determiners and أكم, well actually what to start with? Let's start with حبة. So hab, it's a collective noun to like, actually it doesn't matter what it means as a collective noun. It means like grains, seeds, but what's more important is that the singulative form habbe, so hab, grain, seeds, but the singulative form habbe, a single hab, a single of hab, is one of or a piece of, and this is like used to count things that are normally uncountable. So kobbe is not countable. It's just kobbe. It's like a concept. It's of the kobbe, of like it's like one kobbe is not kobbe. Kobbe is all of this. One kobbe is habbet kobbe. You need to count it some way, and so you use hab. So that's what I want to say. And this is, in fact, this is even used for things that technically could be countable, but it's just another way of doing it. Like you could say like zatune, one's zatun, one of zatun, or habbet zatun. That could also work, you know. So there are multiple options, but this is used a lot, so this is important. حبة فلافل كمان. So we went through that. So حبة كبة, a piece of كبة. أكم حبة كبة, a few pieces of كبة. And then if you want to say these few pieces of كبة, you can do that. Remember we saw كمان أكم وصفة. Determiners one after the other, that's fine. Here the determiners this, هذا, but this always has to go with the definite, or it has to be with something definite. So in this case, we attach it to the determiner, which is quite unique, but yeah. So this is how it works. Hal akam, these few, hal akam حبة كبة, these few pieces of كبة for you to taste. ادوقيهم. So لا بس جاي أعطيكي هل أكم حبة كبة ادوقيهم. No, I'm just coming to give you these few pieces of كبة for you to taste. And then she says طلعوا بشهوا وكل حبة مثل إختها. She's repeating what the YouTube channel said. So they came out bishahu. Remember, we actually used this exact verb. We talked about state of verbs and how they are verbs, but the meaning semantically is as an adjective. So I will insist on translating them that way. So they came out delicious is really what it means. Bishahu, yeah, it means the appetizing, or they appetize. But don't think of it as a, don't translate it in your head as a verb. They came out delicious. In fact, this is really a good example of how if an actual verb were in this position after tilero, it would be kind of awkward. I mean, I don't know. It kind of depends on the sentence, but I would very much expect an adjective or something after tilero in this way, like tilero zakiyin or zakiye, or well, actually zakiyin, I guess, if you're talking about halakam habbe. So, but yeah, that would make sense. But instead, she's using this verb, which is a state of verb, which has an adjective meaning. So they came out delicious, and each piece, habbe, like its sister or like the other. And then Imsanad says, "Yai ma'aska rihathum, ma'aska rihathum." Yai, wow, how delicious is their smell. We went over the structure many times. Ma plus comparative form plus whatever you're referring to is how delicious or how lovely or whatever it is. And so, yeah, this is always going to be in the comparative form, and it always has to be an adjective for ma to be used in this way, to say how this or how that. وشكلهم مرتب كتير, and their shape is مرتب. We talked about this word meaning not just, it's like tidy, but also nice. So in this case, I've translated it as impeccable. Their shape is perfect. Um, and you know, funny, like shekel, we've talked about how sheklo means it seems, right? But originally it comes from shekel, which means shape. And here, the like you can actually know that it doesn't this doesn't mean they seem very nice. And why do we know that? Because um, if I was talking about how they seem, uh, this would be in the plural. Because if I'm talking about them, if the subject is هل كم حبة كوبي, um, then this would be in the plural. It would be شكلهم مرتبين كتير. They seem very مرتبين. Um, but this is in the singular. Why? Because this is actually referring to the shekl. So this is not a pseudo-verb. This is not shekilhom as in they seem. This is literally their shape is very, or their form is very tidy and perfect. So yeah, as you can see, like, I think that goes to show that shekilhom or sheklo as a pseudo-verb, it is different from just saying their shape. It's not, it's idiomatic. It's its own sort of usage, its own word, essentially. Because when using it as a pseudo-verb, as a verb, it's associated with a subject, which would be, if it's plural, then this would be also plural. Yeah, anyway. So Imsanad says, تسلم هالإيدين ما كان في داعي تغلبي حالك إميازا. We looked at this word داعي, which means need or reason to do something. So there was ما كان في, there was no reason for you, or no need for you to تغلبي حالك. We talked about this as well. To trouble yourself with something. So there was no need for you to trouble yourself إميازا. And تسلم هالإيدين, I mean, I think, well, there's just something I wanted to point out about this. So this is the same as yislamu idek. This is very, like a very common words of gratitude, yislamu idek. Tislam halidin is exactly the same thing, because silim is a verb in, like, etymologically. It's a verb, and in both cases you're talking about al-idin, right? Yislamu, so, and silim means to be well. So literally it means Yislamu idek, may your hands be well. And here, Tislam hal idin, may these hands be well. Now, what you might notice is that in one case it's Yislamu, and in the other case it's Tislam. But this is another example of where in Arabic you can have, it's actually not set in stone when things are, have plural agreement versus mass agreement. And with these body nouns like iden, which I haven't really talked about, but like in general, things that are dual, that, like, so with regards to indefinite, or with regards to inanimate nouns, singular is always singular, dual is always plural. This is in the dialect. And then anything above three, or anything that is not dual, essentially, like, plural is mass, i.e. feminine. So you get this situation where beit is beit ikbir, beitin is plural ikbar, and then biyut is biyut ikbire. It goes from like singular masculine to dual, or sorry, to plural, and then back to singular feminine. But the singular feminine is because it's a mass. And the reason, by the way, that the dual is plural is because in reality there's a hidden category here, which is that when you count things, at least until 10, when you count things until 10, you are not treating things as a mass, because a mass is an undefined amount of things. But once you count things, you're defining the number of them, and you're treating them as differentiated. So so actually, I said that any number above, like, more than 2, right, is treated as mass. But in fact, if you count with numbers until 10, and even it starts to become less like the greater the number, the more likely, it's really a spectrum, but the more likely it is to take mass feminine agreement. But definitely with the first few numbers until 10, if you count, it's common to use plural agreement. So, بيت, بيت كبير, بيتين كبار, 3 بيوت كبار, 4 بيوت كبار, 5 بيوت كبار. But if I just say بيوت كبيرة. Now with the خمس بيوت كبار, for example, like it could also be خمس بيوت كبيرة. So it's rigidly like for the singular, it's rigidly whatever the gender it originally is. With the dual, it is rigidly plural. With uncounted plurals, it is mass feminine. But when counting above 2, then it can kind of go either way. And as with the human nouns that we talked about, it could actually go either way. But the larger the number is, the more likely it is to be expressed as treated as a mass, like conceptually. And so the thing with ideen, with these body nouns, is that they're kind of like these pseudo duals, these false duals, where they. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but like ideen means hands, but as you can see, it ends in "in," which is usually the dual suffix. So the thing is, it's because usually, I mean, people only have 2 hands. So, like, anyway, so the plural of the word hand is both to refer to 2 hands. It's both plural and dual, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So if you think about it as a dual, hal ideen or ideen, then what agreement holds? Well, plural. So you would say yislamu idek. Yislamu, plural, right? Your 2 hands. But if you treat ideen as just a plural conceptually, then mass plural the mass plural would agreement would hold, which is feminine, right? So tislam hal ideen versus yislamu idek. It's just an example of how the fact that it can go both ways is a little bit of a lesson in how numbers work. Now, obviously hal ideen are her 2 hands because she only has 2 hands. But that's not really the point. The point is that when people speak, like, it's very flexible in this regard, in fact. And even though she only has 2 hands, like, it can still be treated as feminine. So just wanted to make a note about that, because, I mean, not so much because this is that important, but just because it's interesting, just comment about numbers and stuff like that. So we did that, and then Imsanat says يعني مظبوط أعطيتك الوصفة بس يعني فيش داعي للغلبة. I mean, it's true that I gave you the recipe, but like fish, there is no need for the trouble. That's it. And then Yazan says إذا عجبوكي بقدر أعمل كمان. يعني إذا بدك مساعدة. We've talked about ajab multiple times, so I won't go over it again. Let's just say it means to like. So if you liked it, even though, again, the order is reversed. So if it pleased you, i.e. if you liked them, ajabu, plural. So if you liked them, I can make more. يعني إذا بدك مساعدة. يعني if you need help. And then she says وصرت أعمل, and I started making, right? صرت وصرت أعمل كمان طبولة sorry, I don't know why I pronounced it that way. طبولة وورق دوالي ومحاشي. So, and I started making all these different things. طبولة, dolma, ورق دوالي is grape leaves, wrap things, and stuffed vegetables as well. ورق دوالي أو ورق عنب, which is what I say. And then Imsanat says, طول عمرك فنانة Yazan. We looked at the sentence earlier, actually, when we were talking about Omar. I mean, in another video. And طول عمرك or طول عمره, it's like someone has always been, like, so it's kind of like دايما. So, and فنان is an artist, but by extension it means like a talented person. So this is essentially saying you've always been talented, a talented person in Miyasan. Not literally you've been an artist your whole life. You've always been talented in Miyasan. And she says طب ادخلي أشربك إشي شو بدنا نضلنا واقفين على الباب. So okay, come in. شرب, so شرب, to drink something. شرب, to make someone drink something. This is a causative form. You can see that it's one of those no patient has object pairs things that I've made. So to make someone drink something, and oh, why is it not linked there? Okay, well, I'll do that later. So yeah, so let me offer you something. Yeah, come in so I can offer you something to drink. What are we going to stay in Dolma, to keep, to stay, remember? To stay standing or keep standing at the door. So if active participle of to stand, and the meaning is present, like standing. So what are we going to stay standing at the door? And then Yazan says لا في أكم صحن بدي أعطيهم لإمن صاف والجيران دواء كمان. So no, there are a few plates that I want to give to Ibn Saf and the neighbors. Also tasting. Dua is tasting. For tasting as well. And then she says, خليني أوصلهم, let me... we looked at this word wasal before, which means to... they were talking about... like, if you use it in the context of people, obviously it's to give someone a ride, to take someone somewhere. But in this case, in this context, it's to deliver something. So خليني أوصلهم, let me deliver them. قبل ما يبردوا, before, again, preposition, ما, verb. قبل ما يبردوا, before they get cold. سلام, bye. سلام حبيبتي. يمي بشهو. So that's Imsanaj says, bye حبيبتي. Yummy, they are delicious. بشهو, adjective or state of verb. And then Abu Sanad starts saying some stuff in Fusha. He's pretending like he's a detective on a detective show, and then he says, "Ma fi hada." There's nobody. He's trying to look for who's stealing the food, and then Im Sanad is looking at the kids' grades, and she sees that Sally got a 0, so she says, "Sifir, Sally." And then Abu Sanad catches, like, someone goes into the kitchen, and Abu Sanad stops them, right? So what if عندك وارفع ايديك, stop where you are, and with the meaning of where something is. So stop where you are and raise your hands. And I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I was just talking about idain. It's these body nouns are very particular in that final n, like idain, when you add a suffix to this word, to these words, the n is dropped and the suffix attaches directly onto that, which is only these words do that, and it's like iden, idek, iden, hands, idek, your hands, عينيك, or عينين, your eye, or عينين, eyes, عينيك, your eyes, إجرين, legs or feet, إجريك, your legs, your feet. So yeah. Then Sanad says, so he catches the culprit, who is Sanad, and then they are all sitting in the living room, and Sanad says, احنا هلا بدنا نفهم شو اللي عم بصير. We now need to understand what's happening. Abu Sanad says, to Sanad, أنت وين عم بتروح بكل هذا الأكل? You, where are you going with all of this food? Pretty self-explanatory. Sanad says, وأنتِ Sally, as for you, Sally, كيف أخذتي صفر في التلخيص بعد كل هذا التعب? So, how did you get a 0 in the summary, after all of this, بعد كل هذا التعب, after all of this effort, تعب, exhaustion or effort, because she had been summarizing the novel. And then Sanad says, بصراحة Yazan, the son of the other family, بصراحة Yazan صار له فترة, and here's again this structure that we've talked about several times. صار له, like صار له plus period of time, then verb, and the meaning is someone has been for a certain amount of time been doing something. So Yazan has been, let's say صار له means has been, it doesn't literally mean that, but Yazan has been for some time فترة. Well, let's read the sentence. بصراحة يزن صار له فترة مش عم بجيب معه أكل على المدرسة ولا الأشياء اللي بحبها. So Yazan has been for some time is not bringing with him food to school, nor or not even the things that he likes. So wala, neither nor, right? Not even the things he likes. I don't know if I was going to say anything more about that, but yeah. Okay, and then he says ukul ma as'alu, and here's ma again with a word that is not a preposition, but we saw awwal ma, as soon as, yom ma, okay, awwal ma, as soon as, kul ma, each time that I asked him, right? The time is implied here. Like what ma as'alo, that when I ask him, hypothetically, if that were the sentence, كل ما أسأله, each time that I ask him, why, ليش, وكل ما أسأله ليش, ما بيرد, فأنا عملت هيك عشان أساعده. So, and each time that I ask him why, he doesn't answer. So, I did this, I did so, in order to help him. And Sally says, وأنا رنا قالت لي إنها مش قادرة تشتري رواية عشان هيك ما لخصت. So, like as for me, Rana told me that she is not able, قادرة, active participle, present meaning, she is not able to buy the novel. That's why عشان هيك ما لخصت. That's why I didn't. That's why she didn't summarize, or maybe. No, sorry, no. Yeah, because this doesn't have the حركات. عشان هيك ما لخصت. That's why she didn't summarize, I assume is what was meant. Yeah, okay, لخصت. Because أصلا Sally اللي ما لخصت. She's the one that didn't end up summarizing. But yeah, that she was, so okay. So Rana told her that she was not able to buy the novel, and that's why she didn't summarize the novel. And then Sally says, وكانت كتير محرجة وقلقانة شو راح تحكي للمعلمة قدام الصف. And she was very embarrassed and worried, anxious, what she's going, like over what she's going to tell the teacher in front of the class. And then she says, فأعطيتها كتابي وما لحقت أنا ألخص. Once again, لحق, to manage to do something on time. So I gave her my book, and and by the way, we've also talked about how sometimes the pronouns are like just used again in order to emphasize something. So ما لحقت أنا, and I was the one that didn't manage to summarize on time. So instead of just I didn't, like أنا ما لحقت ألخص would be I didn't manage to summarize on time, but ما لحقت أنا ألخص is like I was the one who didn't manage to summarize on time. Just more emphatic. And then the father says, يا أولاد أنا عن جد مبسوط فيكم وباللي عملته. So kids, I really عن جد happy with you, like happy with you and with what you have done, with what you did. أنتوا حسيتوا في صحابكم وضحيتوا عشانهم. So this is an idiomatic expression. Has means to feel. Has في something is to feel for someone, to sympathize with someone. So أنتوا حسيتوا في صحابكم, you sympathized with your friends, and ضحى is to sacrifice, and you sacrificed for them. You made sacrifices for them. And he says ولو حكيتوا لنا كنا بنقدر نساعد أكتر كمان. And this is another example of can that we've talked, or like another sense of can that we've talked about before, which is would have. Something would have been the case. So بنقدر نساعد أكتر كمان, we are able to help more. كنا بنقدر نساعد أكتر كمان, we would have been able. So if you, and the law is also a giveaway of this. It's often this sense of can is often used with law. So لو حكيتوا لنا, ولو حكيتوا لنا كنا بنقدر نساعد أكتر كمان. And if you had told us, we would have been able to help more. And then the mom says مظبوط, الواحد لازم يساعد. That's right, one must help. بس سالي لو حكيتي لنا كنت, again same thing, I would have. بس سالي لو حكيتي لنا كنت أنا راح أشتري لها الكتاب وما أخذتي سفر. So, but Sally, if you had told us, كنت أنا, I would have gone. I mean, here راح أشتري لها, the future, but in this kind, like these counterfactual conditionals in English, we always use the past. So I would have bought the book for her. It's all in the past, but this is valid. Like in Arabic, in fact, yeah, in English, I would have gone, I would have eaten. We always express this in the past when it's a counterfactual thing, but as you can even see here, you can use any tense in Arabic. So, so كنا بنقدر, we, in English, we would have been able, this is like past perfect, but here it's present tense in Arabic. So in Arabic it's easier, or it's more, yeah, it's simpler grammatically speaking. So here, even though it's a counterfactual conditional, she's using the future tense of I will have bought her the book. So كنت أنا راح أشتري لها الكتاب. It would have been I will buy her the book. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. It would have been I will buy her the book, and you wouldn't have gotten a zero. And in fact, here, see here we see the present tense with a counterfactual conditional. We see the present tense. Here we see the future tense, and here we see the past tense. It can be any of the tenses. كنا بنقدر, كنت راح أشتري لها, كنت ما أخذتي سفر. Can, well, كنت is speaking of her, but كان ما أخذتي سفر. It would have been you didn't buy it. And by the way, this can, it may or may not be conjugated. So like I just said, كان ما أخذتي سفر, you wouldn't have gotten a zero. كنت أنا راح أشتري لها, I would have. So that this can for would have, it may or may not be conjugated. It doesn't have to be. لو حكيتوا لنا كان نقدر, that works as well. لو حكيتوا لنا كان أنا, yeah, it's fine either way. So let's see. إمسانة says دقيقة, معقول عشان هيك يزن عم تطبخ وتبعتلنا ندوق كل شوي. So 1 minute. Could it be that that's why Yazan is cooking and sending things, parentheses, for us to take, for us to taste every كل شوي, every little bit, every little moment, all the time. And she says كيف ما انتبهت ولا حتى ربطت. How did I not notice, انتبه, or even, حتى, in this case, even. حتى, we've seen that it means many different things. It can be synonymous with عشان, or also mean even. So, or even ربطت, like حتى لو, even if, which no, it's not here. Anyway, حتى لو, even if, ولا حتى ربطت, or even tie it together. ربط means to tie something, so tying the kind of information together, make a connection. Why didn't I make the connection? And Sally says, Mama, احنا لازم نعمل إشي. Mom, we need to do something. Sally says, هم ما بيقولوا بس أكيد محتاجين مساعدتنا. They don't say, but of course they are in need. So احتاج, to need, محتاج, present participle, or active participle. They are definitely in need, and plural of the active participle. They are in need of our help. Mom says, خلي الموضوع علي, أنا بعرف شو رح أعمل. Leave it to me, I know what I'm going to do. And then she says, yeah, so, and now the last scene is Yazan and Abu Yazan cooking. They're like basically doing like a cooking business thing. And so she says, مش هيك يا أبو يزن قط البقدونس ناعم. That's it, not like this, Abu Yazan. Cut the parsley finely, like chop it up into pieces. قط is to chop up, and ناعم is finely, in little pieces. التبولة بدها تقطيع ناعم. Tabula needs fine chopping. أنا عم من هيك, finer than this. And then so Yazan says, hey Ijana, remember how with the past tense something has just happened, like hey Ijana كمان أردنين كوبي حضر حالك. We just got كمان أردنين, two more orders of كوبي, prepare yourself. And he says لا مش كوبي, no, not كوبي. And then he says, I lied. Yazan says, يي هاي جارتنا في العمارة الثانية كمان بدها طبخة محاشي. This is our neighbor. She's our neighbor in the other building. She wants طبخة محاشي. Did I read this sentence? كمان بدها طبخة محاشي. She wants a plate. Plate of stuffed vegetables as well, كمان. And then she says من وقت ما عملت, from the time that she made, right? وقت ما عملت, remember we talked about this phrasing before. من وقت ما عملت امسند هالجروب استلمت التسويق والشغل نار. الحمد لله. I'm not going to go over this again because I actually looked at this exact sentence already in another dialogue. And the point is that it's a combination of from the time that, well, first of all, what combined with a verb using ma, like what ma حكيت the time that you told me, and so on. But then there's min. So from this time, and then here we have u, and this u means something has been happening. So since all of this, work has been fire. Work has been great. Alhamdulillah. So u can also mean something has been the case when it's connected with min, or like when it's preceded by min in a structure like this. In fact, I want to do something with that in a minute after this video. And then she says, هاي إمنصاف بتسأل. Again, هاي here with بتسأل is a current action, so she's asking about something right now, right? هاي إمنصاف بتسأل عن الطلبية. طلبية, by the way, orderin, right? Order. طلبية also means order in this sense of order. So إمنصاف is asking about the order right now. راح أطلع وأوصلها إياها, to deliver to her it. And I think I've talked enough times about how yeah is used to hold the pronoun when there's an indirect object followed by a direct object. So deliver to her it. And then Yazan says مش تشلفي وأنا مش هون. Don't this means to rush through something. Don't rush through it. While I'm not here. So here we see lots of different meanings of here while. So don't rush through it while I'm not here. And he says, and then she says قطع البقدونس قطع البصل ناعم. Chop the onion finely. He says حاضر, yes ma'am. And that is it. And I don't know if you can tell, but I am really rushing just to not make this extremely long, and it's still relatively long, because there's really so much stuff that we could talk about. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm like out of breath, actually. I get really out of breath doing this because I'm just like boom, boom, boom. And it's also really hot in here because it's summer, and I think I need to take a break. But yeah, anyway, I hope you found that useful. I really do. Please do let me know if you have any questions. Please write them down in the comments. Otherwise, mabruk that you got through all of this. And yeah, inshallah, in the future, I will add some more dialogues and then go through those as well. But for now, I am working actively on the rest of the academy section, the scores and the activities and all that stuff. So lots of exciting things on the horizon with that as well. But in the meantime, I wanted to put this out there so you guys could start making use of PalWeb, because there's really a lot of cool things on there. Or it's at the end of the day, even though it's just a dictionary, it's way more than just a dictionary. And I think that these dialogues really exemplify the potential of this. And then the academy is going to be even more. So yeah, hope you enjoy that and hope you were able to make use of that. Let me know if you have any questions. My email is adrian@palweb.app. And I will be looking forward to hearing from you guys. So see you in the next video, whenever that may be.